our webinar from France Agrimaire, where they will present all interesting information about the latest harvest of the French cereals. Want to welcome Philippe to our meeting. Want to welcome Marion Duval, Benoit Mellard, and Antoine Grasser, and I want to thank them already beforehand for their presentations. A few technical issues. So cameras, please, when you are not a speaker, all cameras will be switched off. All microphones will be switched off. We will record this seminar. So if you don't agree, then I think you have to switch off. In principle, so we are going to record it, and after each speaker you have the possibility to raise questions, and to keep that to do that on a correct way, I want you to raise your hand. So there is a function in the to raise your hand. If you switch on the raise your hand, then I will one after the other I will give the word to you. You can ask your questions, and the speaker can give the answer. We are very enthusiastic also about the people who are joining our webinar. We're 35 people now, so that's beautiful. And I want to give the word to Philippe, please.
Yes, Matthew, thank you very much for these words, and my turn to welcome you all to this webinar, and thank you for being with us today. We would have, of course, preferred to be with you together in Munich, but the fact is the actual events and the pandemic finally have had us to hold this meeting under the shape of a webinar. So thank you again. We want to thank you again to all, and thank you the head committee to have helped us to prepare this meeting. Just a few words before we start. So as I told you, I'm talking to you from my farm office here in France. Due to the sanitary measures that have been taken in both our countries. Even though we have had these type of problems of getting together, we wanted to maintain these meetings because, as you all know, the trade, when it comes to grain, the trade between Netherlands and France is quite important. It's important. Netherlands is an important market for France. Last year alone, I think close to 2 million tons of wheat, and 900 million tons of barley, and close to 800 million tons of 1,000 tons, sorry, of corn has been traded from France to the Netherlands, and also some durum wheat. So we're happy to be able to supply you Dutch customers. But even though the pandemic was still a problem last year, it happened to be the proof to show anyway the strength of our chain, our grain chain, and we can say that even though we had this unexpected problem, it seems like things went not so bad. Between France and the Netherlands last year. What will happen, what is happening, and what will happen for the current harvest is what we will see and discuss together today. And I will right away give the screen, so to say, not the stage, but the screen to Marion Duval, France Agrimaire, who will make the first presentation of this afternoon related to the balances of different grains for the current 2020-2021 campaign. So thanks again to be with us, and please feel free to ask any questions or clarifications after all these each of the presentation, and Mathieu and Pauline will do the moderators for this meeting. Marion, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Van Hendriken. I hope I pronounce it well. And President Ezel for your introduction. Can you all hear me well? Well,
yeah.
I guess yes. Thank you, Pauline. Well, as Philippe just said, my name is Marion Duval, and I am the Deputy Head of the Grains and Sugar Unit at France Agrimaire. And I'm very pleased to be here today to speak to you about the French cereals market, and more specifically about the supply and demand balances. And before I start my presentation, I would like to give you a bit of an overview of the French production of cereals for the marketing year going from July 2020 to June 2021. As some of you must know, we had from the autumn of 2019 to the spring of 2020 some extreme weather conditions in France. I think that my colleague Benoît Méléard will detail them. But because of these extreme weather conditions, the French production of cereals has been really impacted. As you can see on the map on the left, for the common wheat and for barley, all of the territory has been.
I can't see the presentation yet.
Oh, I'm really sorry. I'm going to share it again. Let's start again. Tack. It's okay, you can see it?
There it is. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yes, perfect. I'm sorry about that. So now, as you can see on the maps on the left, the whole territory of France has been impacted by those terrible weather conditions. And for the moment, the French Ministry of Agriculture estimates that the common wheat production in 2020 should be around 29.2 million tons, a drop of 26% from the previous marketing year. Just for you to remember, the 2019 crops were quite a record in France. So a drop of 26% from the previous year. And for barley, we think that the production is going to be about 10.5 million tons, a drop of 23% from the previous year. For the maize, the situation is not as gloomy as it can be for common wheat and barley, because we had really terrible sowing conditions in the autumn of 2019, and some producers have chosen to switch from winter crops to spring crops such as maize or sunflower seed. And because of that, we can see that the area of maize has increased in 2020. And although the yield has been impacted in 2020, the production increased about 6% and should be around 13.5 million tons in 2020. Now that you have all those figures in your head, I would like to proceed with the French common wheat S&D balance. So because of the drop of the production, we think that on the left, you can see the French S&D balance of common wheat, and it was elaborated by France Agrimaire, and it's a monthly actualization. So this one was published just yesterday. So because of the drop of the production, we think that the marketed production, called la collecte in French, is going to be about 26.9 million tons for this new marketing year. If you look at what is going to be used on the domestic floor, in 2019-20, we had a strong impact of the COVID crisis on our grain that has been processed by French industry, particularly on the milling industry and, of course, for the distillery industries. For the marketing year 2020 and 21, we think that French industry should recover and have about the same level of processing as it was in 2019-99, except maybe for the feed industry, because of the small production, common wheat is less competitive for feed industry than the maize can be. So we think that only 4.4 million tons of common wheat should be processed by the feed industry in France this year. If we now look at the exports, since we have a drop of production, of course, our exports are believed to drop as well. But if you look carefully of the ventilation of those exports between European Union and third countries, in our opinion, our export flows towards European Union are going to be about 6.4 million tons, a drop of approximately 1 million tons from previous year. What we think is the fact that, as you can see on the map on the left, Spain has a very good harvest this year, and our trade should be smaller than last year, and most of the drop of our exports on the European Union is towards Spain. But to the north of European Union or Italy, we think our flows are going a bit smaller, but almost the same as last year. So, and because we maintain a strong flow to European Union countries, we think that our export to third countries are only to be just about 6.7 million tons this year. Just quite something interesting since the past week. As you can see on the graphic on the left, French prices for the last couple of weeks has been quite competitive, and we know are at the same level on a FOB basis as the Black Sea region, and on a CAF basis we have the same prices as Baltic country, for example, that were very competitive at the beginning of the campaign. Because because of the small crops, we think that the marketing ending stocks is going to be around 2.6 million tons, which is kind of a small stocks for France, but it reflects the small production we had. Moving on to barley S&D balance, it's a bit like for the production, the total supply and the domestic use, the analysis is almost the same as for common wheat, given the fact that marketed production is estimated at 8.8 million tons, only a drop of 23% from previous year. But we think that domestic use should recover and have almost the same level of processing as it was in 2018-99. On the export side, the analysis is a bit different as it is for common wheat. Indeed, since the beginning of the campaign, our first customer for third countries has been China. And because of that, it tends to be a bullish factor for French barley prices. And we are not really competitive at for the beginning of the marketing year on European Union. For the moment, there are a lot of uncertainties on whether China is going to stay on the French market and for which volume, what volume we are going to export to this country. But for the moment, we estimate that the export to third countries are going to be around 2.9 million tons, and to the European Union countries, about 2.8 million tons. And as for common wheat, the market ending stock should be around 1 million tons, which is a very low stock for French barley. And finally, moving to maize French S&D balance. As you may know, the harvest in France is still ongoing, and the past week it was 50% completed. The marketed production for this campaign is estimated at 11.2 million tons. For the domestic use, the same analysis as for barley or common wheat. French industry should recover, with just a little bemol for starch industry. As you may know, Cargill has closed one of its plant in France, so starch industry should process a little bit more this year than the level of 2018 and 19. And for the feed industry, since the prices were really competitive, we think that feed industry should process 3.2 million tons of maize this year. On the export side, we all know now that there has been a very dry weather here in the east of Romania and Bulgaria, and the production of maize in those countries has dropped a lot. And because of that, we think that French maize have some opportunities on the European market. And because of that, we think that we should export about 4.1 billion tons of maize to the European Union countries. And finally, the market ending stocks should be around 2.2 million tons this year in French for maize. Thank you well for your attention, and if you have any question, I'm here to answer them.
Wel een tijdje bezig.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Marion. That is very clear and a very thorough information for us. Any questions? You can raise your hands. I see already one question. Angelica, can you switch, please?
Yes. Do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Yes, thank you. I have a question. If you tell us that 50% of the harvest has been done on the maize now,
yes.
When do you expect that it will be finished? Harvest will be completed.
Well, I know that the harvest has gone on last week because there was not as much rain as it was this. Well, no, the harvest has been slowed down because of the rains in France. I don't have the final figures for the moving on of the harvest, but it should be finished maybe. And President Ezel, maybe you have your opinion on this discussion, but maybe in 2 weeks, something like that, 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Angelica, for your question. Philip?
If you wish, maybe I can give you information from where I'm located north of Paris, so not so far from Belgium, and which is normally the latest area for corn harvest, or one of the latest, and we are now probably at 80% advanced in the corn harvest. Probably the dryers will be shut down earlier than a normal year for sure. So that gives you an idea of probably the level of the harvest at this moment. I would reckon at least 80%.
Okay, thank you, Philippe. Any more questions for Marion? No more questions. Then
a hand of Emil Gerard.
Yeah. Hello. Good morning, or good afternoon. I've got a question about the ports in France. During the last COVID in March, the ports were had difficulties to handle the supply. Is that still the same situation? Do you expect that for the next months?
Who can answer this question? Philippe or Marion?
Maybe Philippe, if you want to go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not a port specialist, but I can give you some hints about this. It's true that in March, at the moment where it's been decided to confine, I don't know how to say in English, but to lock everybody in. So somehow there had been a few days, 3, 4, 5 days of flocking, so to say, how to get organized and so on. But I can say that very fast things came back to normal from what I heard. And actually the whole grain chain has really acted well to fulfill actually what was the orders that were there, the ships that were loading at this moment. So maybe for a few days, a few delay, but actually never no cancellation whatsoever. So altogether, I think it went pretty well. Now the question is if this pandemia is coming, will come back at the same level of sanitary measures. Will that happen? It's a good question. What I can say is that at the government level, national level, food industry altogether for the national market, for our domestic market, but also for the exports market, is considered as a high priority. So that means that everything has been and will be made in order to ensure the fluidity of the trade whatsoever. So that's all I can say. Now it's true that we are in a troubled time, and there is some uncertainty and some unknown phenomenon. But from what I can say, from what we saw in March and the will of all the actors of the supply chain, there should not be any trouble. Anyway, the closer from the client, the less trouble in a way, if we compare that to other origins far further away.
Okay, thank you, Philippe. Thank you for your answer. Thank you. Also, Emile, thank you for the question. We continue. For everybody, all presentations will be available after our meeting, and will be on the website of Het Comité. We continue with Benoît Mellard about the French crop quality. The floor is yours.
Yes, thank you very much and good afternoon. Here it is. Can you confirm you can see my screen?
Yes, we can see it's fine. Thank you.
Yes, good. So I'm Benoît Mellard and I work in the quality department at Arvalis. I will give you a view of the quality characteristics of the 2020 French crops. We will look together at the quality level of common wheat, durum wheat and barley. Maybe my challenge is to be both precise and fast. But before starting, just a few words about methodology and partnership. All the results that I will show you are from surveys carried out with collectors organization by France Agrimaire and Arvalis. So I suggest we start with 2019-2020 cropping season highlights, and we'll continue with the quality levels for human food and animal feed. I have echoes. I don't know if all microphones are off. So about the cropping season main facts, as mentioned by Marion, the last cropping season was very difficult from the start. In autumn, we had abundant and frequent rains in these conditions. Sowing was difficult, if not impossible. And as a first consequence, we observed very spread sowing dates. In addition, the farmers could not sow all they wanted due to the weather, and consequently, as you can see on this slide, the areas of common wheat and winter barley have strongly decreased. If you can mute your micro.
Ouais, ils leur disent comme la dernière fois.
Because I've got echoes. On the contrary, in the spring, We had a long period of drought, which impacted the crops in different ways. Firstly, plants have experienced more or less water distress, depending on the type of soil. The superficial soils were more affected than deep soils. Secondly, in the absence of rains, the conditions for nitrogen absorption were affected. Only the third supply of nitrogen profited from the return of the rains. Maybe a positive point is the low disease pressure in such conditions. And fortunately, the cropping season ended well with suitable weather, dry and sunny more or less. So yields have been affected, but the quality has been preserved. So let's turn to the national common wheat quality for human food. We have seen previously that areas sown with common wheat have decreased because of the autumn rains, but yields also declined due to the spring drought, and as a consequence, the production has decreased to 29.5 million tons, as mentioned by Marion. Regarding the variety types, French farms sowed 92% of red wheat last year. This proportion, as you can see, has been stable for several years, so the quality is good from the farmer point of view at sowing. Maybe before presenting you the quality results, I would like to make a methodological point. With our partnership, France Agrimaire, we picked up samples at 200 collectors in all France, 525 samples including 462 standard wheats in dark blue, 39 strong wheats in light blue, and 24 soft wheats in orange were analyzed. The result will be presented to you for each type of wheat, so keep in mind the color code: dark blue for standard wheats, light blue for strong wheats, and orange for soft wheats. Here we go. So as we've seen before, a very large part of the harvest took place in good conditions with dry weather. So the moisture content on your left, the moisture content of the grain upon entry to silos are low. This year the national average is 12.7%, and 91% of the volumes collected have a moisture content below 14 here. For the same reasons, Agberg falling number are good for all wheat types. 94% of wheats have an Agberg falling number greater than 240 seconds. Let's turn to specific weight. The dry and warm conditions at the beginning of grain filling allowed to build up a good potential for specific weight. This potential was preserved until the harvest because there was generally no rain at the end of the plant cycle. So regarding the different types of wheat, as you know, for genetic reasons, the lowest specific weights are observed for soft wheat in orange here. The highest specific weights are observed for strong wheats here, with 87% of the volumes collected above 78 kg per hectoliters. And finally, the specific weights of standard wheats are very good too. 84% of standard wheats are above 78 kg per hectoliters. And the national average is 79.2 kg per hectoliters. So good year regarding the specific weight. Regarding the milling value, it should be good this year as evidenced by these three criteria on the screen. First, on the top left, the kernel hardness is high for standard wheats, as you can see here in blue, for standard wheats, and strong wheats too, in blue bars. 88% of strong wheats and 77% of standard wheats are above 75, so wheats are not kernel hardness is high for this type of wheats. And as expected, wheat suitable for biscuit market in orange bars there have a low kernel hardness. Regarding ash content in grains measured only for standard wheats on the top right here, 62% of the collected volumes are below 1.6%. French wheat is known as a slightly ashy wheat, what is confirmed there, and the national average is 1.6%. And finally, in connection with the good grain filling conditions, the 1000 kernel weight is higher than last year's. The national average is dry matter for standard wheats. About protein content, in connection with decreased yield, protein content is correct, even if it could have been higher. As expected, wheat suitable for biscuit market, orange bar, at the lowest rate, but values are well suitable for the biscuit industry. The highest protein contents are observed for strong wheats, with all the volume collected above 40%. And finally, the protein content of standard wheats is correct to good, in dark blue there. 84% of standard wheats are above 11. To assess the quality of proteins, we carried out Chopin-Albert graph analysis and gluten index measurements. As you can see here on the left, those strains of soft wheat is very suitable for biscuit market. All the volumes collected are below 150 in the orange bars there. Those strains of strong wheat is also very suitable for specific end uses. 96% of the volumes collected are above 350. And finally, the baking strength values of standard wheats are very good. 72% of standard wheats are above 170. Regarding the gluten index measured by Glutomatic, 62% of standard wheats are above 80 there. This means that most of wheats have good resistance to make. About PL ratio and elasticity index, the PL ratio are low for the three types of wheat, indicating a good plasticity of dough this year. The totality of biscuit wheats are below 0.4. 93% of strong wheats are below 0.8, and 77% of standard wheats are below 0.82 here. Dough elongation appreciated by elasticity index is slightly higher than last year. So the elasticity index assessed at the Chopin-Albert graph is 51 on average. As expected, the lowest value are observed for biscuit wheats here, with 75% of the collected volumes below 45. And the highest values are obtained for strong wheats, with all wheats above 55 on the right. Standard wheats have values between 45 and 55. So the plasticity of dough is quite good this year. And I suggest focusing on the quality results of wheats from the northeastern supply area. Also, what is northeastern area? This is the zone figured in purple on the map here, and it's the main area where you source your French wheat. And around 1.6 million hectares of common wheat are cultivated in this geographical area. And most of these are bred wheat, as we can see in the chart at the top right here. And the 10 first cultivated varieties represent 61% of the surfaces. So with France Agrimaire, we analyzed 164 standard wheat samples in this geographical area. And I will present to you the results obtained for this sample in the slides that follow. So that's the same thing that we've seen previously, but we focused on this specific area. So we have seen that at the national scale, the specific weights were very good. This is also the case for the northeastern geographical area. 93% of standard weights are above 78 kilograms per hectoliter. That's more than usual. And regarding the protein content, the values are lower than the last 5 years, but they remain at correct levels. In total, 79% of standard weights are above 11. In terms of dough quality, the results are good too. Nearly 2/3 of the wheat has a W greater than 170. Here on the top left. At the national level, the PA ratio is well balanced. 80% of standard weights are below 0.8 on the top right. And the elasticity index indicates balanced dose. 70% of standard weights are above 50. So quite low protein content, but very good quality of proteins. Now let's turn to durum wheat. So as you know, areas cultivated with durum wheat are stable compared to 2019, but yields are down as we've seen for wheat, for bread wheat. So production is declining. It's estimated at 1.3 million tons. The production in France is located in 4 main areas: center, West Ocean, southeast and southwest, which contribute to 97% of the volumes collected. On this slide, we can see the quality results by geographical area. I will not go into detail, but what to remember about the durum wheat main characteristics is that the protein content is high and homogeneous among the different areas. Specific weights are often good. The vitreousness of the kernel is good too. We have a very low rate of sprouted black point and fusarium damaged grains. And the Hackberg falling number, are good in the center and in the southeast regions, but they have been locally affected in the other 2 areas. But I think collectors' work should improve the level of the batch for this criteria by sorting and cleaning. And finally, as expected, the color of dough piece is yellow. So the quality of durum wheat is good too this year. Let's have a look to the characteristics of wheats for animal feeding, and let's start with common wheat. So the quality of common wheat is suitable for animal feed. The protein contents are correct. 84% of wheat is above 12%. And 60% is above 12.5. I remember that the coefficient is not the same as for food. The coefficient is 6.25. That's why the protein content looks higher. The starch contents are slightly higher than the historical. 94% of wheats are above 68 here. And finally, the feed barley characteristics. So for the same climatic reasons as seen before, yields of barley crops have decreased to 5.5 tons per hectare, despite 2 million hectares on area. And as a result, the production is down to 11 million tons. Here are the results for the main quality criteria for the feed barley. As with wheat, barley is dry. Here on the top left, 79% of barley are below 13.5% moisture content. Regarding specific weight, 62% of barley volumes are above 66 kg per hectoliters. Regarding the protein contents, they are higher than the value observed last year. 89% of barley show protein contents greater than 11 and 71% greater than 11.5%. And finally, 92% of feed barley is above 58% starch content. I'm now done with the result of the French harvest, and I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Benoit. That is looking very good. I think
it's not too fast.
Oh, sorry. Quantity-wise, perhaps a bit disappointed, but quality-wise, apparently good.
Yes, it is.
Who has questions for Benoit? Please raise your hands if you have any question. Was Benoit so clear and so
Hope so.
thorough? No questions for Benoit? Can you tell us anything about DON issues or other issues which can affect harvest? Benoit?
Maybe my colleague will talk about this issue. As you know, we have
Antoine. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Antoine will talk about
okay.
DON issue, maybe not data, but how we manage the problem in France. I think it's not.
Okay,
it's
then
not, it's not an issue for bread wheat this year.
Okay, but we will hear from Antoine. Okay, perfect. No questions? Then we continue. Thank you very much, Benoit, for this thorough presentation. And give the word to Antoine, please.
Hello, everybody. I will share my. Is it okay like that?
Yes, we can see it well. Thank you.
Okay, very good. So, hello, everybody. Thank you, Marion. Thank you, Philippe. Thank you, Benoit. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today. To speak about how a cooperative can, a collecting company in France can work with the Netherlands markets. For sure, NatUp is not the cooperative for whom I'm working. Is not the cooperative who sells the most to this market, but with my job with my other company. Before I was in Acoliance, if some of them know this company, and for sure I sold a lot of cereals for this market. Okay, so NatUp, who is NatUp? NatUp is a cooperative based in Normandy, from Chartres to Dieppe. We are also in the Somme with Amiens, in the north of Amiens, and we go from Le Havre to Paris. So we have a very big area, and you can see all the little points. It's a silo. It's a silo where we collect cereals with our farmers, and we are based in Rouen. The siège is based in Rouen, and I am here in the desk of Mont Saint-Aignan. NatUp is not also a collecting and a fertilizer cooperative, fertilizing and collecting. We are also developed in vegetables. We made potatoes, carrot, beet, many sorts of many sort of vegetable, and we have a lot of company where we transform it. The brands are well known in France. I don't know if it's known in your country. I don't think so, but in France it's well known. It's Lunor, it's Pomme Alliance, Pomme Unie, or Sol Pomme. We are a leader in France on the vegetable, transformed vegetable. We are also developed in flax company. Because of Normandy, of course, we transform it, and we are very developed on the biomaterials, and we make a lot of production from flax, like doors of cars, like many other, like ski, like well, many things like that. Okay, but let's speak about grains and how we are based. So we are a very big collecting area, and this year was a very difficult year because of the COVID. We were very afraid about how it can go, because our commercial who are in contact with the farmer, we didn't know how they can make their job, because how to make your job if you can't have a contact with the persons. So because a commercial got nearly 100 farmers. So if he can't speak with them, or if he go with a farmer who got the COVID, what about dealing this disease to other farmers? So it was a very management challenge, and I can say that France was not up, but all the other were very well organized, and we managed to make that. We managed to produce this year, to produce the harvest, and we also managed to sell it to our clients at the end of last year, last crops, but also at the beginning of this one. So COVID was a very big challenge. But it's also, this year is also a very atypical, excuse me for my English, crop, because last year was a very big one, and this one is a very small one. You can say, you can see on the presentation of Marion and Benoit that you have more than 10 million tons of wheat, less than last year. So it's very important, and the weather market is very important this year. Was very important this year on our markets, but also with the interaction of other market like taxi. And we can see at the moment that when it's dry, when it's a seeding period in Russia, that the market is able to drop very high. Okay, so the pole grain in NATUP is also composed of another board, another business unit of exportation. And we are one of the company in France, in Rouen, to have his own silo. Within we export many cereals, and this year is very composed of China importation. You can see that last year we made a lot of Algeria exportation. You can see nearly 80%. But this year you have more than half which go to the China. So it's what we load at the moment. But it's incredible to see how China is a new driver for our markets, our French markets. And as Marion said, barley, I can say that for the wheat, it's also the same thing. And if Algeria change its specification, you can see that China is here to check and to buy all the French wheat which are able to be exported. Now, I would like to make a SWOT of a company like NatUp on the grain. The strength of NatUp is the storage, but I think it's okay for all the company in France. France is very good in storage. And we have a very good capacity and possibility to store cereals and to give to our clients this service to conserve in good condition the cereal. I can also say that in France, in NatUp, but in general in France, we have a very good reactivity in logistics, and we are able to put all the modality to sell cereals for you. In NatUp, we have an intern laboratory within we can make some samples and some analysis as soon as the harvest is started. In France, we have also a very big, we have big industries which make contracts with us, and okay, exportation is important in the S&D of France, but the transformation in France is very important in grains. And some company like Teros, like Rockets, like on many milling company are here, and we can make contracts. We can sell all the year. A big strength also, but we will speak about that later, is the sustainability of the French production. I think French farmers are very proud, and it's very important for them to produce a sustainable production, and the societal demands is very important on that. And I'm proud to say that French farmer see that, and they are every day they are working on that. And we work. Our job is to work with them in order to improve again and again this sustainability. The weakness for us, for NatUp, is to have a big area. But it's a weakness, but it's also a strength, because we can offer many types of wheat, many types of barley to all our clients. For example, we can make biscuit wheat for a milling company in Holland, in Netherlands, but we can also make a strong wheat in order to export to Cuba. You see, NatUp is able to produce what you want, and I think I'm not here to make the publicity, the advertisement of NatUp, but I think it's the same thing for all your provider like Vivesia, like Ceramis, or other in France. With you, I think you work more than with us, but it's very important to note that don't hesitate to go and speak with them, and not just also use what they have. I think you can build some relation and contract production for several years in order to check what you need. A weakness for NatUp, it's the margin in FOBing, which are very low in France because of competitivity made by silo. We have too much silo in France, and the fobbing is very low. And in comparison with our neighbors like Germany, or if you go to the Black Sea, they are very higher than in France. And I think it's a pity, because we need to conserve capacity, and we need to conserve capacity to be here when it's necessary. What are the opportunity for us? NatUp is a very big cooperative, and we have more than 5,000 farmers who can grow what the market needs. Also, opportunities, we can develop and we can develop capacity or competencies in Cimarex. I think for NatUp, we can make more and more in our own silo in order to work FOB with our clients, and also it's the possibility to sell out of the big exportation, and to be more to produce what you need. For example, we make more and more malting barley in Cimarex, because we can see that the market can need that, and last year we worked with Netherlands, we worked with Poland, we worked with Portugal with these products, because the market needs the French malting barley. Also, we have several products by our farmers. Our farmers are very happy, or happy no, but are able to produce new production. For example, sorgho is one of our production we developed, because we can see an opportunity, and with the year we are more and more dry. Maybe sorgho can be an alternative for some of our area to be put in place of the corn. And adaptability of the production. Farmers are very able to be adaptable, and they are okay to hear about your needs. Streets. The streets is the Black Sea with a lower cost of production. It's our big streets, and of course the societal pressure. You can see that in France, the last year it was about the glyphosate debate. This year it's about the neonicotinoids. So we always have a societal pressure, but French farmer is incredible. He is able to work with OAD. I don't know the English word for OAD, with materials, with mapping by satellites, for example, in order to improve how to grow cereals or production, and how to improve the level and the response of your demands, and of the societal demands. And it's incredible to see how they want to improve it. And we have the capacity to answer on that. And we have many services, many departments who are working on that. Okay, so what are the markets from France to Netherlands? First, we can go to Netherlands with all the way. Maybe not by plane, but we can go here by boat. So by train, sorry. In the region very far, in south of Paris, in the south of Champagne region. You can see that you can have train of every type of production, malting barley, but also in wheat, for example. You can have by the boats, so you have all the Cray region, you have also the Moselle region and the Rhine region, and you have a very big possibility to carry all the production for this area, for this country, for your country. And we also have a truck market, very important, and for us, when we are selling, we are also managing concurrencies between markets. So I put some concurrencies, the big market which are in concurrence with the Netherlands markets. But you have Dunkirk in the north, which can be in competitivity with the Cray market, with the truck market. You also have the Rouen market. You also have the Brittany market and the Italy market for the train. So when you are a seller in this region, you are always calculating what is the best market for us in order to sell to the market in Rouen, or to the market in Cray, or to the market by trucks. It's always a parity calculation, and depends on what you have to sell, but on what are the costs to go to the market. Because if you have a silo here and you need to go to the Cray, you have a carry to go to the Cray, and you have a fobbing margin to pay to be at Cray. But here you can sell to trucks, or you can calculate what about a price to go by truck to Rouen, or to go by trucks to Dunkirk. So it's always a calculation of parity. What are the products trades with Netherlands? We trade mealie wheat, of course. We trade a lot of feed wheat. We made malting barley, feed barley. We also made rapeseed for the Moselle, for example. We also made peas, beans, sorghum, everything if we have the opportunity or the parity to sell. And I can say it if I were at your place, you buy everything if you have the opportunity or the parity to buy. And when we see the market for several years, market from France to Netherlands, okay, it was the last year, and it was at the end of May, because when I made my presentation, I don't have it at the end of June. But you can see that you have the same thing on this graphic. Then France is a very big provider of wheat for Netherlands. Instead of this year, it was the lower year for exportation from France. But why? Because the Germany market was very low, was lower than us. And I think this year can be a little bit the same as this year, because for us, we had a very lower crop. We had a very higher exportation. So when I saw the France Agrimaire number presented by Marion, I think that for the European Union, we can be a little bit low, but a little bit high for the third country. I think we are more than 7 million tons for the third country, and more than 6.1, 6.2 for the European Union. It's my number. It's not the official number of the France Agrimaire, but I think we can export more because of or thanks to the China's pressure, and for the Baltic and Germany area, who can sell less to Algeria for the next tender. What about the quality? First of all, just a little card to say that this, since 3 or 4 years, France are very good. We can see that the protein are very high. Okay, this year it's a little bit low in north of France, but in general, we have a very good quality. We have a good quality in protein. We have a very good weight. Benoit show you that we are nearly 80 of weight. In protein, for us, NATAP, we are, I don't know if you see my mouse, but we are here. So we are more than 11.2 of protein. The moisture is very low. We are less than 13.5. So for the milling company, it's incredible. So they really like this type of quality. In Don, and I think it was the question just before. In Don, we were very regarding, and we make samples before the production, and we make that with Arvalis or Syngenta. And the results since 2 years are very, very good, and we don't have we were not worried about this crop before before the harvest. And actually, we also make some sample in our silo, but we don't see any problem this year with that. So the French product is good for Netherlands markets. The quality of the silo, conservation, ventilation, insect management, foreign materials done. The competitive, we have a competitive price, and I think competitive price is sometimes the best quality. And the French product is good for Netherlands market because of sustainability. French farmers grow very, very better. Because of rotation, they make more and more production. They manage very well the pesticides because of the restriction, and because they have key to use it more and more well. They make new products like sorgho. I spoke to you about sorgho. And maybe what can be the incentive for the farmers? We work with SAI, we work with WSVS, we work with NFV30. Maybe in France you have some improvement with CRC. So more and more French farmer produce more and more, and very well. Okay, so I have finished.
Thank you,
if you
Antoine.
have a question.
Thank you, Antoine, for
you.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Antoine, thank you very much for your presentation. And the last part was very interesting, of course. Does anybody has a question for Antoine? Please raise your hand. Before the meeting, I had some questions. I received some questions about quality issues. I don't know if you can answer, Antoine. In the last 5 years, one of the questions was, in the last 5 years, what trends can be seen in the levels of ergot, DON, Zea, and OTA, and aflatoxins in French wheat? It's a big question, I know, but is there any trend to be seen there?
Okay, so the question is about DON and ergo.
And Zea and OTA, yeah, and aflatoxins in general, yeah.
Okay.
Quite a broad question.
Yes, as I said, we really improve. Our farmers really improve their methods of production, and for ergo, for example, we saw that when you cut the grass just near your fields, you can have less and less ergot years to years, and we work a lot of that. We work a lot and we speak a lot about that during our sampling journey with the farmers in order to educate them and in order to improve the way to manage it. And I think that it's very important because with less and less herbicides, the grass killer, you understand it, herbicide.
Yeah, the weed killers.
It's you can have more and more vulpin or grès gras, and it's a way to have more and more ergot. So we also work with a new mechanical to cut the regras before harvesting the wheat and during the when it's going on the wheat, for example, and we can manage it like that. So in Normandy, it's a way to manage it. And I was very surprised when I came in this region because we didn't have that problem in Champagne region and in Picardy, but so we didn't search for a solution to manage it because we didn't have such problem like that. But it's very well managed. And when I export from Cimarex, I can have this type of problem, and I don't have this problem. So I don't. I think it's not a real problem for us. For the Don, it's also something which is very well observed by our department of agronomy and also of the logistics. Because it's important to know where are the good and where can we have a problem. But many problems of the Don could be the production of maize before the wheat, and for us in Normandy region we don't make so much maize, and the corn production in northern France really decreased. So I think you can have less and less problem on this situation.
I always understand that there are certain regions where there is a bit more, the issue of Don is a bit stronger than in other areas. Is that this year also the case, or is it this year not existence or hardly not existence?
I think meteorology also helps us since 3 years.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Another question which came up: what is the position of, and I don't know if you can respond, but otherwise Philippe perhaps, what is the position of France on the proposal of the European Commission for the more stringent maximum levels of DON and T2H22, ergot and ergot alkaloids? I don't know if Philippe, but there is a in the European Parliament that is the European Commission that are issues. So what is the position of the French government or the French institutions?
On this question of the level of mycotoxin and so on, I think Benoit is more fit than me to answer this question. Benoit, do you want to answer this question about the level of T2 and TH2?
Maybe about on the position, but as mentioned by Antoine, mycotoxin level in grains is first influenced by climatic factors. So the proportion of crops considered as non-standard is very variable according to years, and to help farmers and collectors to manage the risk for DON contamination, we produce several tools to anticipate and predict the DON content in grains just before harvest, as I told you. So the tools are available for DON and on bread wheat and durum wheat, but not for maize, for example. And we do not have any tools to manage T2H22 or ergot contaminations, but we are working on it. So in order to make a response to the consultation by the European Commission on suggested new levels for DON and T2H22, we made simulations along the 13 past harvest to assess the impact of suggested maximal limit on French production downgrading. And regarding T2H2 toxins, it's not of concern for wheat, even with lowered limits, but important volume of maize and barley could be downgraded for human consumption if the maximal limit proposed by EC were set up. And regarding DON, the regulatory change could lead to setting aside from human consumption sometimes considerable volumes of raw materials in France, up to an additional 2.6 million volumes excluded relative to the regulations in force for wheat, and up to an additional 2 million tons of maize compared to the regulations in force. So the impact is could be very huge, as you can hear.
Yeah.
So setting the thresholds too low, according to us, could lead to a risk of reaching impasses in the context of an increasing impact of the factors underlying production variability, climate change, decreasing the recourse to certain technical solutions, as mentioned by Antoine just before. So for these reasons, a French interbranch organization has proposed to maintain the current limits and to improve knowledge and tools to manage the risk. That's what I can answer to your question about that.
Okay, thank you.
And that's the same position as other countries in Europe.
So also you think that we are still lacking a lot of information, a lot of knowledge about...
yeah, we think so.
Yeah.
And tools.
And tools.
To help farmers.
On these issues, we have a saying in France saying that the better is the enemy of the good. So sometimes if you want to be too limiting, then the implications or the consequences on the market can be very, very tough to manage. So the position of the France would be, okay, we look closely. Most of the big bulk and everything that goes to export, or just about everything that goes to export, is going through the grain collectors. So there is the possibility of checking and be sure that what leaves the country is normalized. But then when it comes to setting new norms and new levels of different things, like mycotoxin and so on, we have politically, I would say, to be careful to be not too good in a way. Otherwise, the consequences, like Benoit just said, could be difficult for the markets.
But if France is going to be a front runner, that's also good. So that you can show that you do something about it, and that is also a good signal, I think, for the market.
Yeah.
Itvar Stolk, I saw your hands raising, but do you have a question?
Yeah, I had a quick question, but it was more for Antoine. Thanks for your slides. Just you said on the threads, you did a SWOT analysis. Can you give an example of the societal pressure? What do you mean by that? I didn't, maybe you explained it, but I didn't hear it.
What is pressure of society? Yeah.
Yes, to be sure to have a good comprehension of your question, is you would like an example on societal pressure. Is that right?
Yeah, more what's the impact of that?
Yeah.
What kind of example?
For example, sometimes it happened with it's a consumption or a societal pressure. It's not our job is to transform the pressure in opportunity. You know? So, for example, for the malting barley, many companies like Heineken, like I don't know if I can like a big beer company would like to have sustainable grains, and these sustainable grains they choose a reference is SAE, for example. They say to the malting company, or they are not so much, you have 3 big malting companies, and they say to this malting company, just have sustainable malting barley. So for us, it's a pressure, because you go to your farmers and you say, okay, if you want to sell your malting barley, you need to be with the SAE references. So you need to make a quiz. Excuse me for the English words with quiz, because it's not a game. It's very important. It engage it. It's about his farm, how he manage his employee, how he manage the fertilizer, etc., etc. And at the end, he is SAE or not. And for us, we have a quantity, so we make a mass balance of that, and we can sell it to our clients. So it's something which is very boring. It could be boring, but it's an opportunity, because for us, we can speak about incentive with our clients, and we can give to our farmer, who for most are able to make are okay with all the squeeze, and it can have a premium for them in order to produce it. This is an example. Another example is something which is imposed by the nation. For France, for example, you can't use some product which helps you to produce. So this one is not the good part of the societal pressure when it's imposed by the state. So you have to manage it, and my goal is to help my farmers to go in condition to have them.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Antoine, for your open reply. By the way, your orange color is matching very well today with your Dutch audience, of course. So I think this is the last question. I think there is nothing more. Then I would thank you all for the presentations and for the open discussion we had. And I would like to give the word to Philippe for the closing words.
Yes, thank you, Matthias. Thank you very much. Thank you all, and especially our experts for their presentations. I hope you found this webinar valuable, and it brought you some interesting information. As we couldn't be together at the same place, we wanted to do this as condensed as possible, as it's possible. So I hope it was not too condensed. But anyway, when we are under, behind the screens like this, not always easy to last very long. So, but just a last few words before we separate each other. Like I was saying in my introduction, we are living through blurred or strange times. A lot of uncertainties on the market. There is always uncertainties, but this year there seem to be even more than usually. We haven't talked about Brexit. What will happen with Brexit? Of course, COVID is impacting all our economies. What we saw with Marion and Benoit is also the weight of China, for example, on the market this year was kind of unexpected. All these questions are there, and what is sure is that if, of course, prices drive the markets, it's true also that it's good to remember, anyway, I think for you Dutch actors, that there is reliable and fairly important supplier nearby. and that's the case with the French origin. Even though of course, as you saw, the quantity, the availability is not as nice as it was last year, but still some volume, more than 13 million tons of milling wheat available, probably 6 million tons of barley and 4 million tons of corn, some durum wheat also for the ones of you who need it. And as Benoit presented us, the year was kind of strange. It's not the will of the French farmers to reduce the production. Of course, it's weather that we don't always control. Maybe we control it or we monitor it less and less easy in a way in these times, but still there is some volume, and moreover the quality is very nice. The quality of the French grains is very nice this year, very dry and heavy, and with a very good milling quality. So that's the good news of this presentation. Also very homogeneous, because as Antoine say, most of the volumes go through grain elevators that can build up an homogeneous and reliable quality. So thank you for this. Maybe also I would insist on the last part of Antoine's presentation, saying that as we are nearby, like I was saying, it's possible to go further than standards with the French origin. You have to know that probably more than 20% of the volumes are now on the French domestic market, made on the premium market. That means that the actors of the French grain chain, can tailor their offers to your specific needs. So that's very important if we all want to get more value out of the grain that we are using at each of us at their own level. You have to know that it's possible with the French actors, as long as we anticipate and we communicate more and we share more of our needs and constraints on both sides. So thanks again for your question. Thanks again for being with us. Thank you, Mathieu and Pauline from the Health Committee, to help us organize this webinar. And a big thank to our presentators, our experts. And I hope this was pleasant for you. Stay well with the new invasion of this virus. I don't know how to say, but thank you very much, and I hope we can intensify our collaboration with you, the Head Committee, and with you, the Dutch actors. Anyway, at France Expo, we're ready to do more with you, and I wish you, in behalf of our team, to stay well in these coming weeks. Anyway,
also for you, stay safe, and thank you very much for your presentations. We will put them on our website so everybody can look again. And if there are questions, we will ask our members to put them to you, the questions, because I'm sure there are still some questions, some issues. Thank you very much, Philip.
Thanks,
and your team.
Thanks,
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Pauline, are you still here?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, I will send you the presentation of Antoine. I will send you a new one because there are some modification, and it's not the good one I sent you yesterday.
Yeah.
So could you please wait a little bit before putting the presentation on your website in a few back to my office and I will send you the new one.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you very much for everything.
You're welcome.
It was good. It was good like this.
Yeah. we stay in contact.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Nou, dat was prima zo.
Dat was prima.
Ja. En een hele goede opkomst.
Heel goed. En ja, de mensen bleven ook hangen. Dus dat bleef ook. Dus dat was ook heel mooi.
Ja. Dus,
ja. En nou ja, ik bedoel, de presentaties waren ook kort en krachtig.
Ja.
En duidelijk volgens mij.
Dus volgens mij, nou ja, kunnen we het volgend jaar ook alweer digitaal doen. Volgens mij is het eigenlijk beter dan live.
Ja, en het was ook wat actueel nu ook. Dat was ook goed. Hè. Het is gewoon de goede maand. De mei zit er nog half op. Dus voor een klein stukje nog. Dus kon ze al iets over vertellen. Dus dat is altijd goed. En ze kunnen al iets vertellen over de export. Wat er nu al gebeurt. Dus het was gewoon goed.
Ja, ze konden ook allemaal voldoende goed Engels. Dus dat was ook fijn.
Ja, alleen in het begin was het was toch wel weer even discussie. Oh, moet ik het in het Engels doen?
Maar dat hadden we wel besproken hoor. Maar,
ja. Ik weet niet of hij het expres deed hoor, dat kan ook wel.
En er was natuurlijk, wacht even, ik ga heel even de opname stoppen. Oh, ja. Maar hoe heet het nou, dat was natuurlijk ook nog voor het begon.